Yo, what's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the best WWE 2K20 settings, from visual settings to match settings. But before we can get into that, I'm going to need you guys to hit that subscribe button and drop a big like on this video. This is very new for me and this channel, but I figure it would be a big help for you guys in trying to just replicate a really good match. Now, some of this stuff can be hit or miss, but for the most part, it's pretty spot on. So with that said, let's jump right into things. Alright, so first head over to the options tab and select gameplay. You want your difficulty to be at legend. For you, it probably says normal if you're going off the default settings. I believe normal is the default setting, but I could be wrong. It's either easy or normal, but again, you want it at legend. It will cause for the best match quality. For weight detection, have it on simulation. I'm pretty sure that's the default setting, so keep it at simulation. Arcade will cause for something like Finn Balor deadlifting the Big Show. You don't want that if you want a realistic style match, so keep it at simulation. Reversal limit is off. You don't really want it on because it just kind of wears out midway through the match, if that. I keep it off just so we can have a really lengthy match. So you'll see that later on in this video of where reversal limit really does pay off. Submission minigame is kind of really just a personal preference. I personally like the little button layouts where I can just mash the buttons instead of doing the other layout with the analog sticks. So again, it's kind of a personal preference, whatever you really enjoy doing. For injury, I keep it on. Again, it's just for realism. Rope break, we obviously would keep that on. All the run-ins you can keep on, or you can put it as off. It's really up to you. Again, a personal preference. Blood, I keep it as off. If we're doing like a weekly show like NXT or Raw, SmackDown Live, whatever it might be, typically I will always have blood off. Now if I'm doing a pay-per-view match and it's like a street fight or something of the sorts like that, I would definitely have blood on. Or if I need a really big moment, I would put blood on. So you kind of want blood as a rarity, unless you just love to see it all, every single match. It's completely up to you, really a personal preference again. But for me, for the realistic sake, I will do off for blood 90% of the time. I'll keep the updates on for obvious reasons. Subtitles, it's typically would be off. For the default settings, I turn it on. I don't really play career mode. I might jump into it this year, I'm not really sure, but if I do, I would like subtitles on. I just prefer it, so again, personal preference. This is new this year, so you can put it as allowed. I would pretty much assume that that's what everybody would want, is allowed. Alright, so let's head over to presentation. For the HUD, this is where all the visual settings come into play. For the Superstar HUD, I have it as off. Now, if you're playing the matches, and I play the matches here on my YouTube channel, on Twitch, it's all CPU action for our NXT broadcast, but for YouTube, I like it all off. I'm pretty decent when it comes to playing the matches and whatnot, so I don't really need the HUDs. But if you enjoy seeing when a finisher, comes into play and everything, I would definitely recommend having that on. It kind of really all comes down to the point of where if you want to see all these HUDs on the screen and you don't mind that, then by all means do it. But if you want it to look like a real match, then obviously you would turn the HUDs off. For me, when a finisher comes into play, I don't know why, but it just kind of is like, I know when it happens. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because of years of playing the games, not really sure. But have Superstar HUD off. Fatigue, I would keep that on for realism. Control help and match rating HUD, I would keep that off. Again, for visual settings, I will have all these HUDs off. Reversal prompt, off. Reversal timing assist, also off. Camera cuts, I would keep that on. I think they look cool. Camera shakes, you could keep that on. Honestly, not exactly sure what that means. I think I might know, but again, not 100% sure, so I'm not going to really speak too much on that. Ringside camera cuts, I like to keep that on. Replay on. Post-match replay also on. Again, breakout HUD would be off. Display referee counts off. For the watermark image, I would keep that off unless you're just playing on your console or whatever, but I recommend if you're going to record content, take this off for one and slap your own little logo over the menu layout when a superstar makes their entrance or whatever. I think that little menu HUD is quite annoying. I obviously don't like the HUDs on, so if you're like me, you can slap your own image over it, but if you're just a strict console player, I would, yeah, turn that on. You could add your own little logo over there, but also recommendation, if you're going to do that, I would make the logo on the bottom right instead of right above the menu layout. I just think it looks much better visually, so there's just a little tip there. Controller vibration, I keep that on, but I also sometimes will turn it off. It all depends. But if you like the, kind of feel immersed into the match, if you like that, then definitely keep controller vibration on. Alright, it is now time to jump into the really interesting stuff here with the balancing settings. This can truly make or break a match in my personal opinion, and it is the most important piece to having a great match in the WWE 2K games franchise. So we're going to be starting off with the standing strike reversal rate, have that all the way maxed out to 100, as well as the standing grapple reversal rate, have that all the way maxed out to 100. Both of these settings all the way maxed out will cause for a better back and forth paced match. We're going to go on to the ground strike reversal rate now, have that all the way down to 0, and I will explain why. If you're going to stomp on your opponent's arm and he automatically reverses, it's kind of, a little choppy, it's kind of just silly in my personal opinion. I think having a more played out match and more methodical approach is really good, and having the setting all the way down to 100 will assure just that. Again, it can be hit or miss, but 99.9% of the time it will always be a more methodical approach when you have it all the way down to 0. Now, I've tested out a lot of these settings in 2K19 and it worked really well, and I've also done the same here on 2K20. Again, worked really well. So I'm kind of really reliant, and I'm kind of very trustworthy in all these settings, so I have a lot of experience with them. It's not just kind of, on the fly type of thing. So we're on to the ground grapple reversal rate, have that all the way maxed out to 100. Finisher reversal rate, have that all the way maxed out to 100, as well as the foreign object attack reversal rate, have that all the way maxed out to 100. Now I want to go back to the finisher reversal rate. Having that all the way maxed out to 100 will cause for a more, again, methodical approach and better storytelling in my personal opinion. You don't want to have a finisher within the first 3 minutes of a match and boom, the match is over. I'd say the bare minimum for a fairly decent match in these games franchise is about 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is a fairly decent amount of time in a video game, but obviously more is what you want. But this, I think, definitely will assure, having that almost guarantee of having a 5 minute or longer match. So having this, say, the first two finishers, right, they are reversed, and then obviously the story is, well, he can't connect with the finisher, and when he finally connects, or she, when they finally connect with the finisher and they win the match, it's like, okay, that finisher means something, and it's definitely a move that can, end the match right there. So I think it's a better played out match having the finisher reversal rate all the way maxed out to 100. We're going to go down now to the entrance run-in, the mid-match run-in, and the post-match run-in. Again, it's kind of a personal preference. In all honesty, it does not matter what you have it on. But if you're just going to, play the match just casually, or I should say play the game casually, then maybe this matters. But if you're, for the run-ins, you can control them. So again, it's really completely up to you. That's really something you guys can just play around with yourselves. Down to the referee downtime. In my personal opinion, this is a universal setting for everybody that plays this game. You want the ref down for as long as possible. If he takes an inadvertent bump, or you take your aggression out on him, whatever the case might be, having him down for the longest possible time is the best case scenario. So again, I think this is a universal setting. Having it all the way maxed out to 100 is definitely the best way to go. Special move strength and foreign object strength, have that all the way down to 25, and I'll explain why. Having the special move strength all the way up is going to assure you to have a much shorter match. Say Tommaso Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending, and it's all the way maxed out to 100. More than likely, he's going to win that match if it's all the way maxed out. Having it all the way down, again, will cause for a longer match. Now, it kind of, butts head with the fact of saving a finisher, making that finisher mean a lot more. But, it's just kind of really, what do you want more? Do you want a longer match, or do you want to protect a finisher that, in a game, it doesn't truly matter if you're just playing for yourself. Now, this is really for AI versus AI. So if you're, using two controllers, these really don't really matter to you. But I'm kind of more catering to those that are just playing the game AI versus AI. But again, these settings can work fantastic for, controller versus controller. Not all the settings, but a good handful of them definitely will work well with that. So again, having that all the way down for both, foreign object strength and special move strength, having it all the way down will definitely almost assure you to have a much longer match. We're going to go down to chain wrestling duration. If you like a more played out approach, more technical, having this all the way up to 100 is definitely the best way to go. Standing strike reversal rate, standing grapple reversal rate, and ground strike reversal rate, ground grapple reversal as well. Having these all the way up to 100, I'm pretty positive will work the best for, controller versus controller. I'm like almost certain that I could be wrong, so if I am wrong, please correct me in the comment section, but I'm fairly certain that having these all the way up to 100 will, make it a lot better for you to reverse, especially this year you're trying to learn the new controls, so I think that's maybe the best way to go about things. Again, I could be wrong. I'm actually not 100% certain, so it's kind of something that if you guys, find it to be wrong with what I'm saying, then definitely correct me. Finisher reversal, again, kind of goes with the same idea of what I just said with the rest of those reversals. For an object reversal, the exact same thing, so there's not much to note on there. Stamina cost, have that down to 50, as well as the stamina recovery rate, stunner recovery rate, and reversal recovery rate. Having it at 50 is kind of a little bit of a mixture, and it will cause for, you can have your methodical, more played out approach, or you can also have your, really quick approach, which you're going to kind of see of a bit of a mixture in the match that you're going to see here shortly in the video. Squash match rate does not, cater at all to those that are playing the game solely on a controller versus controller based. This is definitely for those that are just watching the game play out itself. Having the squash match rate is 100% best, going all the way down to 100. Now, let's say you want to have Braun Strowman versus local talent. Having that all the way up to 100, is the best way to go there. But I highly doubt. Now, there could be some, I'll just say oddballs out there that want a match card just full of talent versus local talent matches. You want all squash matches, and have fun with that. But definitely agree, if you're you want to watch a real true wrestling match, then don't have squash match rate even onto 1. You want that down to 0. Next up is targeting. Indicators, again, go back to the visual settings. I would have that off, otherwise it's going to tell you who you're targeting and who you're not. You can definitely tell who they're targeting. They're kind of motion and look at who is who, so that kind of just tells you there. All these target settings, just have it on manual. Target teammates, have that on off. I wouldn't see why you want to target your teammate unless you're doing like a heel turn or a teammate, a team breakup or whatever. Then have that on if you're doing it for that, but more than likely you're not going to use that all too much. Target opposing manager, I would have that on, as well as the referee. You can kind of tell a better story, and you kind of, definitely engage your audience. This is definitely for content creators. You can engage your audience a little bit more, in my opinion anyways. Say you're going to target the ref, the superstar just goes irate, hits the ref, in like a no DQ match or whatever, or goes after the manager. For instance, Xavier Woods blows his trombone, that can definitely get annoying. So if you want to target him to make him shut up, and having this on will definitely allow you to do so. So that kind of wraps things up for the targeting side, and we're going to jump into assist mode. Now, assist mode is a new part here to the WWE game settings. I don't believe it was on 2K19. Matter of fact, I'm very positive it wasn't on 2K19. Otherwise, I would have just skipped completely over it. So if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I'm pretty positive that I'm not wrong. Now, I'm not too knowledgeable on assist mode, so there's not much I can really tell you about it, other than the fact that I'm probably just going to keep it on disabled for all of these. I'm going to keep it on default settings for assist mode. If somebody wants to cover that in one of their videos or whatever, then by all means. But for me, that wraps everything up in the settings portion of this video. But that is not it before we get into our test match. Before we get to the test match, there is a portion that I want to show you guys that, in my opinion, is going to really help you in creating a great match. So we're going to jump right on to that. Alright, so for this next portion of the video, this is solely to those that are going to watch computer versus computer, or that are going to be playing against a computer. If you're a content creator and you're using just solely controllers and you're not messing around with the computer whatsoever, then you can just, skim through this video, because right here, this portion, this section is not for you. This is only, again, for CPU versus CPU players or controller versus CPU. Now, we have really great settings, but we're not quite there if we want to ensure ourselves to having a really good match, potentially a 5-star match. So, we're going to jump into superstar attributes and their skills, abilities, payback, the whole 9 yards. Now, I understand this is very time consuming. I do it every year, and honestly, I too would not like it. So trust me, I'm right there with you. It's very boring, but this year they've kind of updated things where, well, editing attributes and stuff is quite quick. So it takes maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes per superstar. You can maybe even bump that down to a minute if you're really quick with it, and you know, you don't go into just every detail. Unfortunately for me, I love going into every single detail to anything that I do, so it can be very problematic, but it can also be a blessing at the same time. So there's that, but let's jump into this. Now, Johnny Gargano will be in this test match that we're going to be doing here soon. He is at 100. You're going to want to max out these superstars to 100 every single time. If you go to their attributes, you can see everything is absolutely maxed out. There's nothing that's not maxed out. Now, this isn't the case with every superstar. Gargano is maxed out because, well, he's a guy who goes to the top rope, he does springboards, he does all of it. So maxing everything out for him is not, you know, it's not problematic, it's not, you know, a bad thing. His strength and whatever, maybe he's, you know, not the strongest guy, but I don't think it's, you know, much of a problem with Gargano. He's not going to pick up Big Show with our simulation being on for weight detection, so you don't have to worry about that. Now we're going to go down to, you don't have to mess with hit point ratio. Skills, I have pretty much whatever that I want on Gargano. It's completely optional for y'all, so this I'm not going to jump too much into. It's basically whatever's on your personal preference per superstar. So, you know, for an example, I don't have Gargano having barricade breaker. He's not a guy, you know, he's not a huge guy. He's not going to spear somebody through a barricade. So for me, I don't have that on for him. Abilities, again, it's kind of completely optional to you. One I would recommend is pin combo. That's for anybody really. Rope break, that's for anybody. Technician, I'd have that on for anybody. Everything else is pretty much optional to you. If you want to have a manager constantly get involved for a superstar, having mouthpiece level 3 is a great way to go. Again, having all these level 3 is pretty much the best option in my opinion. So, but again, you know, it's something you can just mess around with and do whatever you feel. So there's that. Payback, again, you can kind of mess around with the top option. The bottom one for level 2, I'd highly recommend having resiliency on anybody. It will further the length of the match. It's very, very handy and useful. Again, up here you can just do whatever. I have instant recovery, so we can see some kip ups and whatnot. You'll see that in the test match that we do against Tommaso Ciampa. Again, you don't have to mess with this. Personality traits, again, is optional to you. I always edit them. Why? I don't really know. I don't think that it really does me any good, but I do it, and it's just one of those things. Again, it's completely up to you. If you want to go the full 9 yards, then, well, there's that. You can do that. But crowd reaction, that depends if they're face or heel, obviously. Boo, cheer, you get it. Crowd balance, cheer, boo, and mix. I don't know that mix was in last year. Maybe it was, it just wasn't titled as mix, but I find that really cool. Also, side note, crowd audio is a lot better this year. In my personal opinion, I really, really enjoy it. Alright, so I want to show you guys Tommaso Ciampa, and why I want to do that is because of his attributes. They're not all maxed out like Johnny Gargano's. You can see his weak point, at least in my opinion, the aerial side of things, they're down to 75. Now, he doesn't have springboard in his moveset, so it doesn't really matter, but I figured I'd be a little bit more realistic with it and have his, again, in my opinion, weak point of aerial moves bumped down just a bit. I'd do the same thing with someone like, you know, The Big Show or Mark Henry and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to touch on that. Again, this is kind of all optional to you guys. It all depends how you want to sell the story with the superstar. Again, I like storytelling, and there's a lot of ways to do so, even with computer versus computer. So you just kind of have to look for things, and again, it's based on how you want to portray that superstar and how you want to tell his or her story. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for that portion. And again, hopefully you guys are enjoying this type of video. If you are, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 900 subscribers at the point of uploading this video. So if you want more tips and tricks on this, I would be more than happy to provide more content such as this. So with that being said, guys, we're going to jump onto the test match where I'll break things down from point A to point B, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, so we're going to throw a timer on the screen so you guys can see the match length of this contest. I'm going to show the high points and the low points of this match where the settings are really coming into play, and I'm going to point out the key points of this match. So a great start here between Gargano and Ciampa. And I love this type of start here. The grapple, locking horns, push them in the corner, just, you know, showing who's boss right away. I love that start, and I think it's really, really great that we get to see something like that in a video game like this. So I really enjoy it. again, great start here, back and forth already. And right there, man, that was very phenomenal. See, that comes to the reversals, going into the grapple reversal there. As now immediately after the chop, Gargano sent a direct message there with a snap suplex. So really great start. I'm really enjoying it. This is probably the third take I did. The first match was about 5 minutes or so, which again is probably the bare minimum that you want out of a WWE game. But I wanted to go a little bit longer. I knew it could go longer. These settings aren't the best in the world. Maybe you can even point out better settings, but from my experiences, these are really, really good settings, and they cater to my personal preferences. I really enjoy them. So again, maybe you can find better settings, but you know, it can be a hit or miss process. But again, from my experience, probably 90% of the time, these settings really work out to having a really good match. I think the average bare minimum that I've received is 7. And at the rare minimum is 5, and the max is probably maybe 24 minutes, and that's more than likely going to be a tag team match that lasts that long. Singles match, I think the average runtime for a good match, like a really fantastic match, was maybe, I'd say 15 to 18 minutes, which is honestly really good to get out of computers. Look at that. Right there, you can see that was the instant recovery from Gargano. So it's really key to do certain things like that for the superstar. And there's the possum ability or payback for Ciampa, and immediately kicking out is Gargano. So great start again. I shouldn't say just great start, but the match is going really great thus far. We're over 2 minutes now, and at the time of the release, this is the first day of Wwe 2K20, so there are some bugs. You're going to see some little weird things, not any crazy bugs. I haven't actually run into some really bad glitches or anything yet, so really lucky thus far. Hopefully we don't hit any of those. So for the most part, it's been great. It's been a great experience. I'm really enjoying this year's installments. I know a lot of people are raving about it, but I mean, I haven't gotten into character creation or anything, so maybe that's where I'll really get annoyed. But again, for the most part, I've very much enjoyed the game thus far, and we've seen some weird stuff. Probably the weirdest thing I've seen is the really sticky ropes like you're seeing right there. So a great example, but I've seen some even worse examples of that. In fact, I saw one in a recording, and I immediately stopped the recording when I saw that, because the rope stretched probably halfway across the ring. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. But again, that's the worst case scenario that I've seen thus far, and so I think I'm doing pretty good for myself. But thus far, really good back and forth contest. Some missed, opportunities, whatever, missed strikes, because hit detection isn't exactly 100%. But so far, we're over 3 minutes in this match, and I think Gargano and Ciampa are doing a really good match for. Again, this would be a weekly show on NXT, so for pay-per-view fights, we'd have the blood on or whatever. Another key thing you can do is turn slow, turn the momentum on slow. That's a really good idea to do. You can have it on fast or normal or slow, like I just said. Slow momentum will definitely give you more of a longer match as far as finisher goes. It doesn't mean the match is going to be longer, it just means that it'll be longer to see a finisher. Fast, you're going to see finishers a lot more frequent. Normal is just kind of like a, an in between the two. So it's all, your personal preference. For me, I think slow works best if you're doing a big match. Normal is fairly good for something like this. So that's something you can mess around with on your own time. But thus far, I think over 4 minutes now we're getting into, and I think that is really good. And there's still a great amount of length for a match like this to go. So right there, back and forth, and it's kind of cool. It's almost, in a way, telling its own story. Not, an incredible story, but I mean, you can pick out little points and really, I guess, enjoy it. So again, my commentary, I should say commentary, but my voiceover for this might be a little all over the place, but that doesn't matter to me. I just want to give a completely line down the middle and a completely unedited version of this, and just be completely transparent about it all. It's not a phenomenal game. I'm not trying to do a game review, but it's not a phenomenal game by any means. But I think it could become a really good game after a couple of patches. Right there, that kip up from Gargano again goes back to the instant recovery ability for Gargano. So I really like that. For him, it really fits. And now Tommaso Ciampa going to go for that fairy tale ending. And he's going to hook the half there. But he's not going to get it, because we have all those settings on point as far as finisher kick outs and reversals and all that stuff goes. So very good thus far, and you know, it doesn't necessarily protect Tommaso Ciampa's finisher, but it goes back to the point that we have finisher damage on 25 out of 100, so it definitely will cause for moments like that where the finisher doesn't exactly end the match right away, but it'll cause for a longer match like we're seeing right now. Gargano now with the Gargano escape here on his longtime friend and rival in Tommaso Ciampa, but that will not do it for Ciampa. Again, goes back to the finisher damage strength, and also depends if your submission defense and all that is high up enough, but it goes back to being 100 overall for both Gargano and Ciampa, and in a sense it would be for everybody. So submissions, you know, you shouldn't have any quick tap outs or any of that. If they've been working on the body part for a while, like been working on the arm all the match, and then they go for the submission for the first time, then maybe that'll be different. But so far there hasn't been any like real specific limb damage, at least not from what I've seen anyways. Maybe you can point that out, but I'm not really, you know, analyzing every little aspect of the match. I'm more so just trying to point out what, you know, the settings, what settings are kicking into place, what abilities and such like this. So this is, I think this is really good for you if you're just, you know, coming back to the game series, or maybe this is your first time playing the game. Hopefully this is going to really help you. Hopefully, again, like I said, I hope it does help you and really kind of give you a jump start in your either return or your new beginning here on the WWE Games franchise. It's a very fun process, can get very annoying at the same time. I believe that was a signature there from Gargano. Ciampa was able to kick out though, and the match does continue. We're at over 7 minutes now in this contest. It will be winding down here shortly. I love the back and forth between the two. Tommaso Ciampa there immediately dropping Gargano with a German suplex, and Gargano getting up very quickly there with a leg snap, taking down Ciampa. So we're at 7 minutes and 30 seconds almost. Is now Gargano going to go for the final move of this match, the Gargano escape, and that right there would finish this one off. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. If you did enjoy it, make sure to drop a big like on this one. Subscribe if you aren't already subscribed to the channel. Turn those notification bells on. If you would like more content like this, if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments section. Again, this is new to my channel. I've never done anything like this really, but I figured I'd give a crack at it, and hopefully it just helps somebody. That's the main goal of this, is to help you in your experience with the WWE Games franchise. I know it's not the best franchise. I know there's a lot of low points to the games, but in all honesty, you can make it really fun. You can make it enjoyable for yourself. Again, hopefully you did enjoy it. Hopefully this helps you, and if it did, let me know in the comment section. If there was something really cool that came out of this for you, let me know. So again, as always, I hope you have a great rest of the day, night, wherever you are, and until the next one, man, I'm out. God bless, and deuces.